sooner or later, and it says it is. And I can share my screen as I try to squeeze out probably half an hour of me. I can hide this of me working on my little app of it's like a Uber Eats, except I'm building it using Xamarin.Forms and F#. And so supposedly I'm sharing my screen, and my the app works something like this. If I want to add another thing of oranges, then that updates. And if you wanted to go get some more snacks and add that to the cart, add some sour grapes or something, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, there's like categories that you can filter on, you know. Same thing with drinks. You got your water category, juice, your soda, and I could say, you know what, I want to be healthy, no Tostitos for me, and the cart summary updates, and I can check out, and I can then prepare to pay with some payment method like this Visa right here, and I see the summary of the items that I bought. I see that it's 16.96 for the items, and then the delivery charge is going to be like another $5, which brings to a total of 21.96. Sooner or later, I'm going to wire up this map so it points to an actual location, and wherever that rider is or that courier. I don't know how to say the word. Um, it will show the map of the courier's location relative to your location. When you select the payment method, that's essentially confirming that you want to proceed and request that delivery. And so you hit the request button, it says finding a deliverer with the option to cancel, and all of this is just a simulation. And it says it found somebody. You can still cancel, arrives in 3 minutes. That's your estimated time of arrival. You can call or message. And then it says your order is on its way, which I need to keep that call and message button still up there. And then we assume that your order was delivered, and this is like kind of the summary. So that's what I've been working on. Now, there's an issue with this though. And while I relaunch my emulator so I could expose the issue, this is me practicing domain driven design. So I have like these different domains in here, right? I have an account domain, a cart domain, a order request domain, a marketing domain, which is essentially empty. But if I zero in on this cart domain, the shopping cart domain, I have this notion of a specification, which is a specification library. Once again, I'm missing my tests. I don't know where I'm supposed to have a test project in here. And once again, it's missing, which I'm not going to trip on that right now. Where's my test explorer? It's my test explorer right here, which is also weird because you're supposed to be docked to the bottom, something like that. Okay. Anyways, mark hard that specification. Here's my mantra or my mission statement for this particular domain. And these are the function type signatures that this particular domain um, ultimately is going to expose or requires in order to be successful. And so that's essentially it. This is these are pure functions, and then over here, and these are the I/O operations that, well, they I wouldn't say that they're pure because they need to a lot of times interact with I/O and a whole bunch of other things. So anyway, it's important that I throw it under a IO namespace. So when people are looking at or examining these individual functions, they can put in the necessary checks and balances. Anyways, so if I go back over here, oh yeah, there's a restaurants menu as well, which is what I want to work on. So this is the Denny's, right? If I go back, have a list of restaurants, and then you could drill into the restaurant and you see the menu. So this is the Denny's menu, okay? And we see that it has a lot of items on here: skillets, sluggers, and milkshakes. And you could filter on sluggers, and you can filter on skillets, and you can filter on milkshakes, okay? And that's okay. Now, here's the issue: the issue is that if I drill on the burgers and shakes restaurant and look at their menu, issue is the sluggers, skillets, and shakes is still showing up. Now, shakes, that's understandable, but burgers and shakes doesn't have a skillet category. They don't have a sluggers category. This is all Denny's, right? But these filters are still showing up, and so that's something that I would like to address in this video. I want to fix this, okay? Specifically, I need to make sure that the filters for a given menu are specific to a given menu, okay? And well, sluggers, skillets, and shakes, that's Denny's. That is not burgers and shakes. So that's what I want to fix. Now, in order to do that, and this is really annoying because my test library should be under this specification, and it's not. So if I type in tests, um, nothing is showing up. That's weird. Nothing's showing up at all. If I, well, hold up, that might be my bad. Uh, yeah, there should be a test in here. Now, if I type in tests, we have account.test and we have order request.test, but we don't have our shopping cart.test. And that's what I want to update because I was going to leverage test driven development and resolve that filters anomaly. Okay. And it's not showing up in here. Okay. Now, if I wanted to re-add it, I'm willing to bet that it's going to say, "Oh, this project already exists in the solution," but it's not showing up. All right, so if I go over here and I look for, let's type in tests, or we could do shopping and then dot tests. Is this FS Proj? You see this right here. I'm not sure if it is. No, that's been debug. Um, Let me see. It's definitely shopping cart.test, so maybe I could filter on that instead. And here's the FS Proj. Now, if I attempt to open this project under this domain folder that I already have selected, it says that it can't be added because it's already a member. And so this is the crap I have to deal with. Um, so what can I do? What are my options? Well, maybe I could, since this is a Visual Studio bug, and it is a bug, um, maybe I could just look for the name of the file, the shopping cart, okay? And so I'm still able to drill into the file, even though even though it doesn't show up under the folder that I had already designated it under. Oh, but I can't do this, right? So I can if I unload everything, oh, look and behold, my shopping cart.test shows up, right? So now if I reload the projects in this folder, now I'm able to access it. That's pretty effed up. All right, so I have this, where am I at? The shopping cart file right over here. Control MO collapses everything within Visual Studio. And what do I want to do? I want to look at this menu, and within this menu, I want to address the filters anomaly that I discussed earlier, right? So here's one test that says load all sluggers, skillets, shakes, filters. Another test, load Denny's menu on skillets, right? So skillets that should be capitalized. It's the name of the filter. So it looks like I want to probably build or refer to this test right here for my next test, which is for the burgers and shakes test. So let me just make this a little bit clearer and associate it to Denny's. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to control MO and bring it back over here. And I want to say for this burgers and shakes, there will be a all, and then there will be a burgers, okay, and then there will be a beverages, there will be a shakes, okay, and then I'll say for burgers and shakes, okay, something like that. That's essentially I'm missing something. Burgers, and we'll say sides, maybe, and then beverages and shakes, something like that. Now what? Well, maybe I could wrap that in single quotes, the burgers and shakes, just like maybe I could wrap the Denny's in single quotes as well, something like that. Okay. Now what? All right. So this will be language dot burgers and shakes. Okay. So then we can say over here burgers and shakes, something like that. Control S. And what else? Um, a comma. We want to make sure that our filter is going to be all, but instead of sluggers, it's going to be burgers. Instead of skillets, it's going to be sides. Right? And shakes is okay, but there needs to be a one, two, three. Oh, there's already 4 items right there. And I think that the real estate on the mobile device can only accommodate 4 filters. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, so that's not going to work. So we're going to have to disqualify something. And we're going to disqualify beverages for now. Uh, Unless I rename sides to something like other, which I could do. And maybe I'll do something like that. So maybe it'll be like all burgers, shakes, and then we may have other, something like that. Okay. And for whatever reason, it doesn't. Oh, yeah, I need to put in another, call that, I don't know if it's called a cons operator. Okay. So now what? We call this other over here. Technically, shakes goes before that. It comes after burgers for OCD reasons. Okay. Okay. Now what? Is that it? Sure. Well, let's make sure that this fails. So I'll do a Control RT to run this particular test. Hopefully that test gets discovered. We should go from 58 to 59 over here. That's what it should do. Are you going to go from 58 to 59? And it goes from something past. Hold up. Run the entire thing. I could have sworn it said 58 earlier, but 53 and 3 is 56, so I'm not sure what happened to the other two tests that would make it 58. And then the new one I just added would be 59. So I'm kind of confused about that. All right, so now it's running everything. And now we have 59 because it says 58 passed and this one failed. Okay, so this is good. This is what we want. Now what? Okay, so if I click on the failed test, then do you actually give me any details? Is it stack trace? Whatever. All right, so if I run this in debug mode, see what happens. And it hits our fail, okay? And if I look at the filters, we have 4, but we have all sluggers, skillets, and shakes, which is our Denny's filters. That isn't our burgers and shakes filters, okay? So that test fails, and that's a good thing because that's what I expect. Now what, Willis? Well, I'll tell you. I drill into the load operation of my view model that is responsible for bootstrapping this instance of a view model for my data binding to be happy. And there's a load categories right here. Okay. This load categories is probably misleading, right? Because it's really should be called load filters. If we really want to, well, okay, let me start over. It's load filters for the when you're in the application, I'm filtering based on technical jargon. I'm filtering, but well, okay, maybe categories is okay because in the actual business domain, it's a category in the menu. The menu has categories. Okay, so maybe I'll leave that alone. All right. So now what? Okay. Well, so we load these categories given a restaurant. Okay. So what's the issue with that? Well, it's always returning a Denny's related categories, and so that's what we want to work on. And so I'm like, all right, well, if I do just a find all on low categories because I know it's going to be exposed in my test API, but it's I don't see it, right? So dependencies for category loading. If I look at my test API for my shopping cart, then how do I deselect that? Then within my test API, where am I at? Within my test API, I have these operations and control and mode. There's load items, load menu items, load restaurants, and then there's load meal categories. That looks like something that I need. Okay, that's the signature. That looks right. So I'm willing to bet that this is the operation or the function that gets executed. So now what? Well, we see that for load meal categories, it doesn't even care about the restaurant, and it will just automatically load the sluggers, load the skillets, load the shakes. So this is the issue right here. It's automatically loading in Denny's specific categories without really evaluating what the restaurant is. And so I can fix that. Restaurants, come here, that, okay. And so then I could say, what is this restaurant? Is this, not sure how to do this. I could potentially do maybe a restaurant. How do you spell restaurant? Restaurants. And maybe I could do a pattern match on that, maybe. And how is that going to work? Well, if I drill into restaurant, um, it's a record, but I could pattern match on the name, or can I? Um, it's definitely going to need to be the name, unless let me see something. So if I do this, and then I can say something like Denny's, but I want it to be the actual restaurant Denny's. Look at all these items under Denny's. I want it to be, yeah, this is a lot of items. Some hmm, should be, is it just a capital D for Denny's? I guess so. Should probably, yeah, whatever. All right, so if I say Denny's and I have, then this is acceptable, okay? And then we'll assume that it's in air, and then message, and then we'll say, how does this work? I'm doing this wrong. Over here, it's how does this work? Go back. If it's anything else, then yeah, I was right. Then we would do something like air, and then there would be like an air description, and then there would be there would be, some message like something bad happened. Okay, something like that. Now the issue is that this restaurant and Denny's is a restaurant that should match. What I need to do eventually is throw in a burgers and shakes under here, but right now I just want the Denny's to resolve. So it says this expression was expected to have type restaurant that has, but here it has type restaurant name. Okay, well, you're when I hover over here, it's supposed to return a non-empty menu category. Okay, and so this is a non-empty menu category, and else it'll return the error description. Okay, and that's fine. So I'm not sure what the issue is on here. The expression was expected to have type restaurant, but here it has restaurant name. If I hit F12 on Denny's, or if it says restaurant name, then I could do control comma restaurant name, and okay. I don't even think I'm even using this restaurant name. I don't think I am. If I, well, to make sure, let me see. It says no references. So if I attempt to control KC, comment that out, then go back and I'll do, says uppercase variables should not generally be, yeah. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Um, and okay, so apparently, if I go to my test API, which I'm already in right now, it under language. This is what I was looking for. Shopping cart .core.restaurant. Okay. Just Control Shift B. And over here, shopping cart.core. Then there's a language over here. And theoretically, what I can do is I could say something like this, like, hold up, open shopping cart.core.language. Hopefully that should be accepted, and it's not. Or shopping cart.core.restaurant. So yeah, so this is already, this should just work. This is, oh yeah, and so I need to change this to a lowercase d, something like that. Change u to a lowercase b, something like that. Okay. And that didn't receive the update. Okay, so now what? So that looks like it gets resolved somewhat. Over here it says this rule will never be matched. Uh, I don't know why it wouldn't. This value is unused. Okay, so what I was attempting to do was I thought I could pattern match on actual values that I've already instantiated, something like that, burgers and shakes, and then because they're both instances of a restaurant, but that doesn't look like it's going to work. And so what I probably need to do is pattern match on the name if it's not willing to take the instance of it. So if I say name, a name is going to be or something like, it'll probably be like name and then Denny's, something like that. And then the other one would be name Burgers and Shakes, which I think I already have something like Denny's. Should be a Denny's name. I was happy with that. And it says it's unused. But if I do something like this, then I guess that's okay. So name, go back. Name, and then this would be Burgers and Shakes. Burgers and Shakes, okay? And for that, I am going to need burgers, which is probably not going to be defined here. Let me see. This is supposed to be a, I feel like I'm in the wrong part. Load mill categories. Okay. So over here, we'll copy paste this and then adjust it, where we'll have something like this, but then we'll have, this would be burgers, and this would be shakes. This would be, what was my test? My test said burger, shakes, other. This would be other, okay? So do that, other, do this, shakes, do this, burgers, okay? And so then I could do shakes right here, and then I could do other right there, okay? And that looks like it should be okay. I don't have any red identifiers on my scroll bar. Do Control Shift B, and it's going to tell me that there's a issue with restaurant name over here. So it turns out that that restaurant name was actually needed. And I don't know where I put it. Comment? Okay. Control Shift B. If this builds, then it should trigger my automated tests. And my automated tests should trigger a passing test, only if this whole thing builds. It does build. Automation tests are now going through the discovery phase. Discovery phase completed. The test still fails. All right, so now what? So now, if I were to debug this and see what filters are loaded, then my filters are now 0. Okay. So there's no filters loaded. All right, so if I go back to my load operation here, and there's a load categories, I drill into that. Oh, shoot. If I go to my operation, where's it at? This was the load nil categories right here. And remember, the my loading filters for Denny's is still working, which means that I probably got this burgers and shakes text wrong. So if I go to if I go to let me see. If I go to restaurant. I don't know how to spell restaurant. Over here, then I do Control Shift or Shift F12. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for this right here. And this is Burgers and Shakes name. And this is burgers with the word and shakes. Okay. Now that's burgers and shakes. And not sure with the this is using the ampersand burgers ampersand shakes. So that's really what I want. I want that. Control Shift B. That should pass, or it should at least load up some filters. And so that is now passing. Okay. So now what? Well, there may be some issues that still need to be worked out with the actual user experience. So if I'm to run this application, then what I think is probably still going to be messed up is I'm probably going to have my filters are going to load more than likely for burgers and shakes, except they're not going to be mapped correctly. Meaning, I might hit the burgers filter and it might show the shakes category, and vice versa. So that's what I want to test next. Sooner or later, this app is going to load. And from there, I'll go to more food. And I see this burgers and shakes. Now, if I select burgers, then all the burgers are loaded and only burgers are loaded. If I do shakes, then shakes is off because it's showing French fries. Okay. And if I do other, nothing's there. Okay. So burgers is correct. All loads in everything except for milkshakes. That needs to be handled. And so there's still some issues that need to be worked out. So all is not loading milkshakes. And it doesn't, I don't think it's even loading in French fries either. Yes, it is. So all is leaving out milkshakes. Burgers is correct, but shakes is only showing the French fry stuff. All right, and other doesn't show anything. Okay, so if I go to operation, no, if I go to operations here, then there's a shakes and What is this over here? All this stuff is off. Okay. So I don't even know if this is even relevant over here. All right. So for this is all off. How is this even working earlier? This shouldn't even, because menu items isn't even being used. That's that's why. Menu items isn't even being used. There's some other type of mapping that's being done. That's why it's not working. So on my to-do list, I should just get rid of the menu items from this menu category. Okay. So if I go to I go to my, go back to my test and load, and I go back over here, then what I want to do now is it's going to load in the categories, and then maybe I should just put a breakpoint. Maybe I should just put a breakpoint on load categories. So do that, and then I'll do a control RT after. Or I could just write, all this is green right now, all the tests pass. So maybe I need to write another test. So for example, maybe that might be a better approach. In this case, I can say load, say load shakes filters on shakes, something like that. Load shakes filters for burgers and shakes on shake items, something like that. Okay. And so, does anything change in here? But this, what we're testing now is that a we want to test that a view model should be like a filter command that execute is invoked, and that is going to maybe take a string, or maybe it takes a category. I'm not sure which one. Uh, if I look at the menu again, that filter takes an arg. If I look at the handle filter, I don't know what this handle view request is, but yes, I do. That's to do. Um, I take that arg right there, and it's either going to be a category index or a string. I think by default it's, or in the runtime, it's a category index. Okay. So in my test, there should be in my test, there should be a shakes index, shakes category. Is that a category index? Okay. And so then that should result in we're no longer testing the filters. We're testing that our view model dot mills, which probably should be updated to menu items. It'll be a list dot of sequence, and then we pattern match on mills is a it is a all right. So in this case, we just want to see if there'll be a head and then there's a tail, and we just want to see if our head dot in this case category index equals, say, should equal shakes category, right? Category index, something like that. Just see if the tip of it, and I guess I don't even care about the tail. So do something like that. Control Shift B. And I'm assuming that this is going to fail. I'm assuming, and it fails. Okay. And if I try to debug this, then we have a breakpoint on our load mill categories, and it hits the burgers and shakes, and there's burgers, shakes, other, okay, and okay, that's what it's returning. Now shakes is the index 1. So there's 0 index, 1 index, whatever. Shakes comes in at number 1. And so that load mill categories is over. It should be okay. And then it's non, I take the categories that I loaded and I convert it to a non-empty list. And then, no. I say non-empty to list because it's already non-empty. Convert it to a list. And so names is now, shakes is still at the number 1 index. And so that makes sense. Now, if I put a breakpoint on handle filter and then hit continue, handle filter is now triggered. And there's an update category index. That category index is 3. It's supposed to be, I thought it was supposed to be 1. Okay. And so I step into that. And remember, the category index is 3. It's supposed to be 1, as in 0, 1, 2. And so I asked if the category index, which is category index 3, is equal to all index. All index is 0, and 3 is not 0. And so it hits the else block, and it's going to assign to mills m.index. Yeah, so I'm not sure where category index 3 occurred at, because in my test, I have a shakes category. The shakes index is, lo and behold, is 3. Okay, but I want shakes index to be 1. No, I have this backwards. The all category is 0, just to make sure. I think the all category is 0. The burgers category is 1. The shakes category should be 2. That's the issue. Okay, which means that the the sides category, I'm not sure what that was, but we'll just make it 3 for right now. And that's it. You have all burger shakes. All burger shakes and sides. So now if I build the solution and look at this test again, which I'm double clicking, it's not navigating. I click over here, then I have a feeling that should pass. And it doesn't. All right, and now I have more things breaking. Okay, the filter Denny's menu broke, and that broke because I'm willing, I'm willing to bet that broke because I'm overriding. I'm not sure why that broke. All right, so for load shakes, let's see what happened. Handle filter, update, and our our categories should be 2. That's what we want. And so step over that, and now our view model.mills is still equal to 0. And I'm not sure why. So kill it. Relaunch it. Handle filter. Update. For items like cache, which I didn't even check to see if that, well, I don't even remember the shakes being loaded in items.cache. That's something I need to check into. Items.cache is right there, which means that if it were to be loaded, it gets loaded over here. Put a breakpoint there. Okay. And so let's load shakes. Well, first, before I write a test for even loading milkshakes to see if that gets loaded, let me just see what's in my cache. Okay, so now I have items in here, and I see burgers, I see French fries, I see espressos. I don't see any milkshakes in here. Don't see any milkshakes. Okay, so if I go back to my, I don't know if it's operations, for loading meal items, load menu items, it's missing milkshakes. So I need to add that. Now, right now, I don't even think I added burgers and shakes, milkshakes. I think I just have Denny's milkshakes. Let me see. Oreo, Oreo shake. Yeah, so this is all Denny's. And it's called some Denny's shake Oreo. Menu item, maybe? Do something like that. And that's what I have. But this isn't a Denny's shake. This is burgers and shakes. So what I need to do is I need to take these items right here, and I just need to copy paste them wherever I have burgers and shakes defined. These are the burgers and shakes items. Okay, indent that, and then this is BS shake Oreo, and this is BS shake strawberry, and this is BS shake chocolate, and this is BS shake vanilla. Okay, so that's done. Go back over here, and now I could just take everything in here and paste that in there, and then just say BS and BS and BS and BS. Okay. Of course, there's some other things on here that probably need to be addressed, uh, specifically the price. So, yeah, there's a lot of things on here that needs to be addressed. So this BS shake Oreo still referencing Denny's, but this is a and burgers and shakes. Yes, ID. Nope. Burgers and shakes. But there needs to be a burgers and shakes ID in here. And it is right there. Okay. So yeah, all this needs to be updated. Okay. And not only are the menu items now burgers and shakes, but they need to also be actually this it should really be that. And that should get rid of some as well. Okay. And all the other stuff is done right. So now if I go back to over here, I need to take all this. I need to shake vanilla, and I need to take all these items, go back to burgers and shakes over here, and this will now be a BS shake Oreo, and this will be a BS shake strawberry, and this will be a BS shake chocolate, and then I think there's a BS shake vanilla. Okay. And do I really want to go through all of this? The price is what I care about. Yeah, the price is what I care about. And so I don't feel like changing that right now. I just want to get my filters to work. So I'll leave that alone for right now, and I'll revisit it later. Control Shift B to build. This is all about just loading a milkshake. See if that builds. It does build. See if I can get one of these tests to pass. And one of the tests do pass. All right, cool. So now I'm able to load in milkshakes for burgers and shakes. So that's good. But I have a breaking change because now my Denny's menu, the filter on skillets, is no longer working. Okay. It's no longer working. So if I were to debug that, then I don't have anything in my cache. Oh no, I'm pushing it to the cache. Never mind. Um, so my cache is going to be 11 items. Okay. Now what? There's a handle filter. And so I'm trying to verify that my viewModel.mills has if I filter on that, it's a Supreme skillet and a Denny's Fit Fair. This is on skillets. But if I hover over my mills, this is showing, this is showing not only the skillets, but it's also showing the milkshakes. Okay. Okay. So skillet index is 2, and the milkshakes index is 2 over here as well. Well, yeah, so that's the issue is we have two different types of we have two different types of milkshakes. So there's Denny's milkshakes, and then there's Burgers and Shakes milkshakes. And I think that we need to distinguish between the two. So if I were to look at the difference, because before this used to work, right? So if I were to do a compare, and I would look for the index, where is that at? Where am I even at? Do I do a find on index? Okay. So previously, the shakes index was at number 3, but that's the Denny's milkshake index. And my burgers and shakes milkshake index is number 2. So I need to distinguish between the two. So specifically, this would be a Denny's Denny's shakes index. This would be fun when I make all this into web requests. But this is supposed to be number 3. And then the burgers, how's this work? That right there. And then there's supposed to be like a burgers and shakes. So I'll do BS underscore shakes. And that was at number 2. Okay. And so now we have sluggers category, skillet category. But this stuff needs to be now, this needs to be a Denny's shakes category with this being a Denny's shakes index. And all this is going to change dramatically as I continue to evolve it. This is just mocked out data for right now. Okay. Control Shift B. So that everything is green now. Everything passes. Okay. So if everything passes, when I run this application, then I should observe milkshakes on my burgers and shakes menu. And I should observe that when I hit the milkshake filter or the shakes filter on my burgers and shakes menu, that it will filter to shakes. That was the issue. And I think there's one more issue, is I need to make sure that the fries is being navigated to. And I think I left beverages out. Okay, so if I go over here and click burgers and shakes, let's see how we do. So we'll run this. All has everything on here. Okay. We have milkshakes in here now. All right. Now, if I click on burgers, then only burgers show up. Okay. If I click on shakes, Uh-oh, shakes still isn't showing up yet. If I click on other, then it has French fries and milkshakes. All right, 0, 1, 2, shakes. So again, when I click on shakes, nothing's showing up. If I go to my test, my test is load shakes filter for burgers and shakes. And what's interesting is this test passed. Let me start over. This load shakes filter for burgers and shakes, it passed. And so I have no, it didn't. I see an issue. This is Denny Shakes category. It's not supposed to be Denny Shakes. That's why. Okay. So there's supposed to be a BS Shakes category. All right. So BS. Can I do this? BS Shakes. There's a BS Shakes index, but I don't see a BS Shakes category. Let me drill into this. So I'll do a let BS shakes category equal and BS shakes index. Okay. So then do something like that. Control Shift B. I have a feeling that this will fail. I'm not sure why, but I have a feeling it will because I haven't really thought out the ramifications or the consequences for me making this update. I actually hope it fails. All right, good. It fails. So now I can attempt to debug it. Oh, shoot. One is not supposed to be a Denny Shake category. It's supposed to be a BS Shakes category. Okay. Go Shift B. All right, good. It still fails. That actually makes me happy because I know that there's more to why it wasn't showing up at runtime when I was attempting to test the actual app. All right, so now if I look at meals, which I should really call menu items, it's 0. Okay, so I need to figure out what happens when we call the filter. Okay, so now I'll do a debug and on the filter, update category index. This category index is 2. Okay, remember there's an all filter, there's a burgers filter, and then there's the shakes filter. So shakes is the third element of the filters list, which would mean that it's the second index because index started 0. So that sounds correct. And so then it says take the items cache and then filter where the category index equals 2. For whatever reason, I can't get a data tip on the items cache, but I need to make sure that the items cache loads in milkshakes and that the category of the milkshake items is at 2. Okay. Uh-oh. So one, if I go back to my language and I look for my BS shakes, then it's still pointing to shakes category. Denny's shake category. It needs to be a BS shakes category. Okay, we're still making progress. Um, these items too. Still says Denny's shake vanilla, Denny's shake chocolate. Yeah, I'll worry about that later. See if my test passed now. Build succeeded. And you are green. So now all the tests pass. If I launch the application, now it's deploying. Application is loading. Sooner or later, it'll load. Sooner or later, it will load. Okay, so the app loads, and I'll select burgers and shakes. And burgers is still burgers, right? Everything's on burgers. His shakes. Shakes is now working. Click other. Other is working. I feel like I should still add like the espresso stuff, like the drinks, but I'm okay with this for right now. It's burgers and shakes. Like who actually orders espressos and lattes? So this is good. This is what I wanted. And then if I select all this stuff is on here. Yeah. All right. So that's what I wanted to accomplish. The filters is working on here. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that my Denny's is still working. So over here, sluggers, skillets, shakes. Denny's is still working. All right. And I am done. So checking my files. This is on my GitHub account for GitHub/Bismonger. It's a fixed filtering per restaurant. Picked category. Filtering per restaurant. Commit all and push. Control Alt L to show my Solution Explorer again, and I am done. So that was a little bit painful, but I got through it. And stop sharing. Sooner or later, it should go back to me. And that's it. So that was more like a cold kata more than anything. But I think it demonstrates how effective test-driven development is. I can't imagine not relying on a test-first approach to resolve that issue, the filtering issue. But in this industry, this is common. People will literally launch an entire application and just troubleshoot and overload their cognitive load until they get fired or until the business goes under. and that's just not a good way to work. So this is essentially me demonstrating a feedback loop. And although I struggled, I got through it, and that's it. So I'll probably record another video within the next 48 hours. In this case, I probably won't record a video of me building like another restaurant menu. It's either going to be a Latin restaurant or an Asian restaurant. So I'm not going to record myself building out the actual menus, but I'll probably record the testing of it. So, all right, I'm out. Scott Nimrod. Peace. Stop broadcast.